Welcome to On the Divine Wisdom from The Guide for the Perplexed by Maimonides, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2, on Words of Wisdom. Maimonides, also known as Harambam or Rabbi Moses ben Maimon, was a notable medieval Jewish philosopher, astronomer, physician, and intellectual figure, born into a prominent family in Spain. Maimonides' path eventually led him to Morocco and Palestine until he finally settled in Egypt, in El Fostat, near Cairo. Shortly after moving to Egypt, life-changing events prompted him to start his practice as a physician. It was not long before Maimonides became renowned in the area and became the personal physician to the Sultan Saladin, a famous Muslim military leader. He also tended to other patients, lectured before fellow physicians, and became a leader of the Jewish community, teaching and helping its members. Famous works by Maimonides include Mishneh Torah, a commentary on the Talmud, and The Guide for the Perplexed, philosophical discussions regarding theological matters. A revered pillar of the Jewish world, Rabbi Moses ben Maimon, also had a significant influence on some great medieval writers and thinkers, such as Baruch Spinoza and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, and made an important impact on the medieval science archives. Today we will continue to read selections from Part 3, Chapter 13 in Rabbi Moses ben Maimon's book, The Guide for the Perplexed, to better comprehend the true nature of the universe. Part 3, Chapter 13. You must not be misled by what is stated of the stars, that God put them in the firmament of the heavens, to give light upon the earth, and to rule by day and by night. You might perhaps think that here the purpose of their creation is described. This is not the case. We are only informed of the nature of the stars, which God desired to create with such properties that they should be able to give light and rule. But as to the statement in Scripture that God gave the plants to man and other living beings, it agrees with the opinion of Aristotle and other philosophers. It is also reasonable to assume that the plants exist for the benefit of the animals, since the latter cannot live without food. It is different with the stars. They do not exist for our sake, that we should enjoy their good influence, for the expressions to give light and to rule merely describe, as we have stated above, the benefit which the creatures on earth derive from them. I have already explained to you the character of that influence that continually causes the good to descend from one being to another. To those who receive the good flowing down upon them, it may appear as if the being existed for them alone that sends forth its goodness and kindness unto them. Thus, some citizen may imagine that it was for the purpose of protecting his house by night from thieves that the king was chosen. To some extent, this is correct, for when his house is protected, and he has derived this benefit through the king whom the country had chosen, it appears as if it were the object of the king to protect the house of that man. In this manner, we must explain every verse, the literal meaning of which would imply that something superior was created for the sake of something inferior, namely, that it is part of the nature of the superior thing to influence the inferior in a certain manner. We remain firm in our belief that the whole universe was created in accordance with the will of God, and we do not inquire for any other cause or object. Just as we do not ask what is the purpose of God's existence, so we do not ask what was the object of His will, which is the cause of the existence of all things with their present properties, both those that have been created and those that will be created. You must not be mistaken and think that the spheres and the angels were created for our sake. Our position has already been pointed out to us. Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket. Now compare your own essence with that of the spheres, the stars, and the intelligences, and you will comprehend the truth and understand that man is superior to everything formed of earthly matter, but not to other beings. He is found exceedingly inferior when his existence is compared with that of the spheres, and all the more so when compared with that of the intelligences. The phrase, "Behold, he put no trust in his servants," is employed in reference to the angels, indicating that these do not possess perpetual existence since, as we believe, they have had a beginning. And even according to those who assume the eternity of the universe, the existence of the angels is at all events dependent on and therefore inferior to the absolute existence of God. The words, "how much more abominable and filthy is man," in the one passage correspond to the phrase, "how much less in those who dwell in houses of clay," in the other passage. Their meaning is this: how much less in man who is abominable and filthy, in whose person crookedness or corporality is mixed up and spread through all his parts. Iniquity is identical with crookedness, as may be inferred from the passage. In the land of uprightness he will act with iniquity, and Ish, man, is here used in the same sense as Adam, human being, for man, in a general sense, is sometimes expressed in Scripture by Ish, he who smite a man, Ish, and he die. This must be our belief when we have a correct knowledge of our own self and comprehend the true nature of everything. We must be content and not trouble our mind with seeking a certain final cause for things that have none or have no other final cause but their own existence, which depends on the will of God, or, if you prefer, on the divine wisdom.
The mental strength that sustains my commitment to veganism has also helped me in forging the physical strength required to compete at the highest level in powerlifting. I am extremely proud to be a vegan powerlifter. Sahuri Lalain, vegan.
Benevolent viewers, thank you for your company today.